And do you think through the use of the dialect that they're learning things
Yes, I do.
in a way that maybe they wouldn't?
As I said, the point was I'm not dumbing down the physics,
Mm.
but it's how do you make it accessible? You know, and to me, if I can do it in a Glasgow slang, that's kind of funny in itself. Then you try and make a wee joke, you try and have a little backstory for somebody, like going up to Blair's Drum in Safari Park or something.
Mm.
But if you have it as a little story leading into the physics, then I think they enjoy it. And before they know it, they're learning the physics, or they're watching physics. So it's a way to access something that maybe not want. I mean, they wouldn't sit and watch a physics lecture on YouTube.
No.
But if they watch Glasgow physics, they think it's funny, and then think, oh, I'm learning something from it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of my angle as well. It was the physics, but also making it accessible. So I've got a little first year boy who's wanting to, in my class, I had a few last year. So I started watching your videos. I said, what did you learn from it? They're telling me things that were in it, and it's higher physics than in the first year.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, if they can learn that then, and they can remember it, who knows? You know, it might stand them in good stead later on.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of my thinking.
And what does other teachers make it? Just not just here, but in other schools in Scotland. It's
overall, I think the feedback's positive.
Mm-hmm.
Here, it's just Paul doing his strange things. Non-conformist, I believe, is one of the phrases being used. But other teachers, they have used it. You know, my nephew's over in Kirky, they were saying, yeah, our teacher shows it all the time, and they're saying, that's my uncle. And that's kind of nice. And people do use it, you know. I can check on YouTube who's using it, who's looking at it, where they're using it from. That's why I saw Scots language coming up.
Right.
And I thought, search for them.
Uh-huh.
And I found people as far north as Wick, as
Oh,
far
did
down
you?
as the borders, so it's gone national.
It's national.
And you get a kick out of it, you know. It's you think something you just did as a little laugh with your class,
Mm-hmm.
and if somebody took legs and ran, just by the sort of viral aspect of the internet, you know, email, pass it on Twitter, check this video out, it's just spread around that way.
And do you ken whether it's showing it in the classroom, or is it mostly I walk home and watch this and then come back into the school?
It's actually a classroom.
It is a
I
classroom.
have found, you know, somebody saying our teacher showed this at the end of the class. It's really good. That's kind of nice, you know. They're in the school environment, in the classroom, they're showing this video and to entertain, but also to teach. And some of them actually use it as part of their curriculum. You know, they actually show it as part of the lesson. Yeah, there's a few that I know of that have it on their teacher blogs. Say, if you want to learn more about this, you know, here's one of Baldo's lectures. It's kind of weird because it's, you know, when you think about a character who's voicing something, it's all your work. But it's kind of nice. I get a kick out of that knowing it's been used in other schools. It's good.
And do you think that the use of dialect, or the sundry dialects that make Scots up, do you think that lends itself to teaching? Is it something that teachers could look into a bit more, do you think? Whether it's natural philosophy or history or whatever the subject is?
I don't know about that one. I think, you know, for me teaching, I've got to be comfortable standing in front of a classroom. And this is the way I speak to the kids, you know, and putting on the Glasgow accent is funny, and I think kids do access it, but I don't know, from my point of view, I wouldn't put on an accent in a class, for instance.
Aye.
But I'm sure the way I speak is, you know, completely different to someone else somewhere. So I can't put on a posh voice and pretend to be something I'm not. And I think teachers have to just be comfortable, they have to use a language that they're comfortable with. But in terms of using Scots, you know, I think you're talking about an identity. And if the government are promoting Scots studies, then I think there's a place for it. But in terms of the daily pupil to teacher relationships, I think you've got to use what you're comfortable with. And for me, this is my voice, this is the way I speak. All the other stuff is an act, it's a character. So,
but it's a useful tool.
Yeah, it's a useful tool. But I certainly think having the traditional view of the prim and proper teacher with the cane and all that, and you know, the stories you hear of, you know, my mum and dad in the school, they, you know, if you breathe the wrong way, then you're in trouble. I think there's a certain, you need to be relaxed in the classroom, and if you're relaxed, so the pupils and they're relaxed, and that's good to learn. And if the language is part of that, then by all means, you know, promote it.
So what about projects you're working on what new ideas have you come up with?
As I said, we're doing a new hire course, which is we're one of the piloting schools. There's a few schools in Scotland doing it, and there's a lot to do. There's some new things being brought down from advanced hire, some new things being thrown into it. It's kind of the fashionable physics, things that are topical, like the Big Bang machine, or the one in CERN, and you have cosmology and all
that's the
stuff.
The accelerator.
The black hole machine. It was called. So I had to spend 2 weeks explaining why it's not going to happen. We're not going to be sucked into a black hole. It could be for all I know, but so that kind of thing's been brought down from maybe university level. So there's a whole host of things that are new to everyone. And I'm working on something called the standard model.
What's that?
It is, well, you have the atom, and you have things inside an atom, you have things inside an atom. So quarks and electrons and neutrinos and all those wonderful exotic things that exist for maybe a fraction of a second on their own. The things that you make in these big particle colliders. So I have a little talk about CERN, and there's one in America called Fermilab as well. So I can have a little twist on that. Talk about what they do, and then just say, well, this is the standard model, you must know this for the exam. And I have a few jokes in there and stuff.
So you're right, bringing it up to date, keeping it current?
Yes, yeah. I try and do it so that, the funny thing is, talking about language itself, I mean, language is always changing. And I'm convinced, if I look back in 5 years' time to the first lectures, and I show the pupils that, I think, what are they saying? Those words aren't cool anymore. Because I sat in the class and just said, right, pad of paper, speak. Just tell me about your day. And any little colourful adjectives, or the new ones. What's new? The word heavy, for instance. Heavy is used in a whole multitude of ways. It could be, well, heavy is an adjective. And I use that quite a lot. Pure, I think pure is going to be eternal. I think pure will be around forever, but there's words that come into fashion and then drop out. And I think I need to keep up to date. So
you're just logging in, and then literally just. That's a good word. I'll use that.
I was on the bus yesterday, going through Glasgow. You just listen in. You can, you know, was it Billy Connolly or some comedians just said, you sit in a bus, and just walking in Glasgow. You have enough material for a stand-up show. You could just sit in a bus and listen in to conversations, and it's amazing the language that you hear. Not in that way, of course, but well, maybe some way. I was going through a toll cross area, but it's amazing just the conversation they come up, the language used, the way they say things, the way they ask questions. I saw the Stanley Baxter, Parallel Glasgow. That's the slang used in that. I watched a bit of it recently. It might seem a bit dated, because that's not really how the Glasgow slang is anymore. Lots of new words. I think as long as I keep up to date with what the pupils are saying, I'd literally just sit there and just speak to me for 5 minutes, and I just scribble down some notes what they're saying. And that's honestly how it came about.
So maybe 40 years from now, I'll look back at you and say, that's a very old farm now.
Yeah. Well, you know, if I'm around in 40 years' time, it'll be good. But yeah, no, it's. I think the language is always updating itself, especially when pupils are using it. The teenage slang, you need to keep up to date.
Paul Greer, I want to thank for speaking to the Scots Language Centre.
Thank you for coming to see us in St Peters. It's good to have you.